Okay, so news involving everybody's favorite team to root against, the Kansas City Chiefs decided to lock up edge rusher George Karlaftis. George Karlaftis is a very good player for them, and they have given him now a good amount of money. It's a 4-year, $93 million contract, although some of that is incentives. It's $22 million a year with a little bit chance to earn a little bit more than that. Karlaftis was part of that incredible 2022 draft where, they traded away Tyreek Hill and then completely nailed the draft, won back-to-back Super Bowls, have gone 2-3 straight. And kind of the question that I've had is, what happens once these guys all get out of their rookie deal? Next year is going to be this upcoming year. That's the last year that all these guys will be under a rookie contract. Of course, Karlaftis and McDuffie were first-round picks, so they get a fifth-year option as well. So for Karlaftis, his contract actually doesn't kick in until the next year, I'm assuming, unless they decided to have it kick in early, which that almost never happens. So I'm assuming it's not going to be the case here. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about Karlaftis just real quick as a player. Is he worth this deal? First, you see his box score stats, which aren't always the best way to indicate who is or isn't a good edge rusher, but we'll just look at it. You see, 24 and a half sacks over a 3-year stretch. That's pretty good. You'll take that. That's averaging, 8 sacks a season. Yeah, nothing otherworldly, but very good. If you look at some PFF grades, if you're into that kind of thing, you see they've said that he has improved steadily year after year, even gave him the 35th overall best pass rush grade among edge rushers, 38th overall. More impressed with his pass rush than his run defense, which is why he's out there on more pass rush plays. But yeah, a very good player. I think my gut reaction to $22 million a year is that feels a bit high, but keep in mind, it's not going to kick in this upcoming season or the next upcoming season. So with the way the salary cap kind of balloons up, I think that's why. So ultimately, this is totally a fine deal in my opinion. I think Karlaftis is certainly worth that. To me, though, what's interesting is you can't pay everybody when you have a great draft class. And with Karlaftis now getting this contract, what does that mean for the rest of the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward? So let's look at their projected cap space. So they have plenty of cap space this year. They actually could add a guy, add a rental this year if they wanted to. They have about $20 million in cap space for 2025. But in 2026, they're going to be $60 million over the cap already. That's projected cap. We're projecting it to go up. This is over the cap that's making those projections, but it could go up by even more than what the projection is. So if that happens, which has been happening, that could help out the Chiefs. In 2027, though, $72 million is the total number. Worth mentioning, the Karlaftis extension has not changed either of these two things. Like I said, he is under contract for each of these next 2 years, so that hasn't really impacted either of those. But still, being $60 million over the cap means that, listen, it's the NFL. There are ways to work around the salary cap, right? But you're then going to have to push it down the road. You can't just, you can't work around it forever. There are still limitations that you have to have with a salary cap. So if you pushed all $60 million of it down the road to the next year, now you're looking at $12 million, right? Which, hey, that's a way to do things, but ultimately, if you are looking at something like that, you have to be able to re-sign certain free agents as well, and they do have a lot of free agents coming up. What you see next to me are just some of the upcoming free agents for that specific year. Again, it's worth mentioning it was kind of a great draft class, so they have a lot of guys they will have to make sure that they lock up. I put a number next to them for projections of millions of dollars I think they would get. Kelsey, I put 15, but I have no idea how to really measure him because he might want to take a hometown discount to stay with the Chiefs. Maybe he just chases the bag somewhere. Who knows? But probably wants to stay with the Chiefs. But maybe he wants to make sure he gets paid too, right? We don't know. A lot of guys you think are going to take hometown discounts and then take hometown deals that aren't discounts, right? But ultimately, these are important players. You can live without some of these players. I think losing Jalen Watson and Leo Chenal would be the two biggest blows. But listen, I put Brian Cook and Kareem Hunt on there. They're starters, so I feel like it's fair to put them on there. But also, you can deal without that. But that, to me, is really what the Chiefs are going to kind of become soon, is they're going to lose this great depth that they've had these past 4 years, I think. And the Karlaftis signing means that, again, they're trying to make sure they keep the stars, the starting players, and the good players. But in doing that, it means that you could lose some of these, players who maybe have smaller roles, but are still important roles. Not to mention the following season, which again, I'm projecting that they will not have much cap space, even though it's currently sitting at $72 million, because they'll have to, re-sign a bunch of players, and they're already $60 million over. So because of that, you're probably going to have to kick the can down the road a decent amount. You have Trent McDuffie, Rashee Rice, Jalen Moore, who accidentally wrote Jailer Moore on the thing next to me, Jawan Taylor and Mike Dana. Again, these aren't all superstars, but Trent McDuffie's a star. I mean, he's a fantastic player. You want to make sure you keep Trent McDuffie. If Rashee Rice comes in, and this is 2 years down the road, if he is back to being, what we saw Rashee Rice be his rookie season, like, he could be worth a decent amount of money. Those guys could be worth 40, 50 million if everything works out. So that's something to pay attention to. So again, you can't completely just kick it all down the road, because you got to make sure you keep those guys as well. Now, entering this next offseason, there are players they could cut and just get out clean with, which might be the move. Like Jawan Taylor, they can save $20 million if they cut him. I just think they're going to do that, right? Or maybe they restructure something where they give him a little bit more money and then keep him around. Not that restructure is the wrong word. Sometimes you see something happen. Like Frank Clark was an example of, they were going to, if they cut him, they would have saved, I think it was around the same amount of money, around $20 million. And what they instead said was, hey, you're worth like $7 million. We'll give you the $7 million above what your guaranteed amount is right now if you just stay with us this year. And he said sure. So he ended up, in some ways you make more money, in some ways you lose more money. Essentially, you're making more money than you would have because you would have been cut, but you're making less money than you're scheduled to. I could see something like that happening with Jawan Taylor. Some other guys, again, you could cut this upcoming offseason if you want to, but again, you're losing depth. And ultimately, I think that's what's interesting about this Karlaftis signing for me is, when the Kansas City Chiefs, they won a Super Bowl with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, but they were struggling to get over the hump again. They had, gotten back to the Super Bowl the following year, lost to Tampa Bay. They then get to the Super Bowl or get to the conference championship game, but lose to the Cincinnati Bengals. Hey, that's a great run for most teams. For the Chiefs, they're like, we can do better. Tyreek Hill wants a big contract extension. They trade him, get a bunch of draft picks, build up their depth, and are able to win 2 Super Bowls, get to another. Now they are starting to get into a similar thing, and it feels like now they're maybe going to let more of their depth walk and try to keep the starting players. And maybe if they get another Tyreek Hill level deal back on the table, they'll try and take it. But really, with this Karlaftis edition, it's just going to come down to what it kind of we always knew it was going to come down to. Can the Chiefs continue to find role players? Can they, with free agency and with the draft, be able to build up their depth enough that they can still stay competitive? Because again, they're always going to be competitive with Mahomes, but can they stay at the level they've been at? I don't know what's going to happen, but it should be interesting. So yeah, those are my thoughts on what the Karlaftis signing means for the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.